Steve would love to join us, but I can't manage all that. Cat, dog, almost low tide, 67 degrees, 723. We've already had a downpour today, T-Rex, and there's a lot more on the way. I don't know what's up with this grass, this switchgrass, I think it's called. It grew another inch last night. I don't like it. I don't recall it being here before. Seems to grow near the fire pit and likes hot weather. Anyhow, I'm not sure how much rain we picked up, but it woke me up about 6 o'clock. No thunder. There, that goes offshore. Really interesting. It's a really tall cloud. I mean, the sun's kind of breaking through now, but very dark 7 a.m. That cloud's about 30,000 or more feet tall. It looks incredible from satellite, towering cumulus casting shadows here around the Boston area, and then just a massive cloud over Vermont and more convection off to our south, some smoke out there in the sky over the ocean. Incredibly low tide. I'm not sure that I see it this low very often. A couple of rocks right down there exposed that are not usually exposed, and I think that's called Bass Rock right there off of Howe's Neck. So very low tide, good for beach combing and seeing what you can find by the edge of the water. We did some of that yesterday. I'll show you that in a minute. There's more cloudiness and weather upstream here. Very comfortable right now. It feels like there's almost a light breeze from the east. Temperatures in the mid 60s. The dew point's coming back up. It's going to become more sticky. And boy, is it a Fronty map. I call this a Fronty map. How many low pressure systems are there? Let's see. 1 Quebec, 2 New York, 3 Pennsylvania, 4 North Carolina, 5 Georgia, 6 Michigan. I think I'm missing one there. At least 6 low pressure systems east of the Mississippi along 2 fronts. I would almost call it a polar front in southeastern Canada, but it's not quite that cold. And then you have this subtropical front that's over the mid-Atlantic states. And thank goodness that subtropical front's going to stay south, because as it is, we're still prone to flooding. Flood watches are in effect in a dozen states today here in the Northeast, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and I think we should issue a citizens flood watch for Boston. When you look at the guidance and you look at what happened yesterday in Vermont, upstream, do not expect a half a foot of rain in Middlebury, Vermont, with more flash flooding yesterday. The guidance only had us in about an inch or so there. So I've been talking all week about this front and how potent it looked, but then back on Monday when it had 6 inches forecast for Connecticut, it has since been diminishing its output. But check out what the HRR, High Resolution Rapid Refresh, is doing for Boston today. Another round of showers and storms comes in early this morning, and then another round this afternoon, and by the time we're done tomorrow morning, that's more than 5.5 or 5 inches of rain here in the Boston area. So flooding is possible here too. So far today, when that one quick downpour, 0.07, I'm going to call it 0.07. Oh, what's going on in the tomato garden? I don't think that the rabbits like these tomatoes. I don't like them that much either. I haven't had any cherry tomatoes. I know I planted them. I think they're eating all my cherries as soon as they turn into flowers. Very frustrating with the critters. Very frustrating with the weather too. Very challenging forecast here again today. So the Severe Storm Center even has put a little hash for the possibility of a tornado coming out of some of those severe storms in parts of New York and western New England today. So I think the fact that we're starting off gray in Boston and there's another round of showers incoming probably as I'm publishing this at about 9 o'clock in the morning, that may stabilize the atmosphere enough to prevent severe weather here, and that is non-damaging thunderstorms, but that's still prodigious amounts of rain is possible. Could have some training storms. There's just a tremendous amount of air moving aloft at the 500 millibar flow there. You can see the trough digging over the northeast. And then good news is it relaxes over the weekend. And then bad news, here comes another trough in on Tuesday. And then there's some good news Wednesday. And then here's some more bad news, another trough coming in on Friday. So we're going to have a front instead of every other day. It looks like every 48 to 60 hours. But it's all going to add up to another several inches of rain before we even get to August 15th. Tropics are fairly quiet right now, but something's got to give. How'd you like to look at the 500 millibar anomaly? The anomaly shows just the cooler air than for this colder than it's supposed to be for this time of year. Not exceptionally cold, but that light blue. And then watch what happens. Another trough comes through Tuesday, and then late next week. Wow, that's super cold for this time of year in eastern Canada. And now that's dominating all of North America. So coast to coast, real active weather next week. I'll show you the surface map now. There's your low coming by. Well, several lows going by and offshore for improvement for our weekend. Then another one, we talked about how this a couple days ago had forecast to be 990 in northern New England. Then yesterday adjusted to 980 something in Hudson Bay, Canada, and that's been consistent. So it still looks like that storm's going to go well to the north, but there's going to be a front to our south, to its south Tuesday, and then another one still to the south of that same storm on Friday. So today, Tuesday, Friday, all potential real heavy rain in the northeast and all real nice weather in between. The dew point on Sunday is supposed to be in the 50s in Boston with some high thin clouds and a temperature near 80. So that looks gorgeous. Right now the weather stick is pointing down. That would be our third gorgeous Sunday in a row. Plenty of food for the birds. It was very busy yesterday. I did a lot of pruning. It doesn't look like much, but that portion of the yard had not been touched, really, some parts of it, in more than 20 years, I think, by judging what I pulled out of that hole right there. There's a rabbit in there. Can you see the rabbit? So when you work in the yard as much as I do, you get bee stings. I get stung by a bee again yesterday right on my knee, and it is really painful. That was actually a yellow jacket, which is a hornet. And then I took advantage of the really low tide at the end of the day and I went down to the beach. So fun with the cats and the dog outdoors and doing some landscaping and down to the shore. That's your and more weather and more for Friday, August 4th, 2023. Just really pleasant, about 78 degrees, 3:15, August 3rd. Got a couple cat naps going on. You comfortable in there, Steve? Mitt even joined us outside today. How you doing, Mitt? You know that's catnip right there next to you. Did you know that? We got a few cucumbers this year. Not that many. Peppers. Steve came over to see what I was whispering in Mitt's ear. Steve. Sweet nothings, of course. We used to call him tail tapper. He taps his tail when he's happy. Oh, T-Rex just chilling. Rex, you done with that water? Let me take this for you. You like this weather? Oh, I like this weather. Easy. Hear that noise? That one. It's a catbird. Not pleased that we have a couple of cats napping out here right now. They're just harmless. They're not doing anything. Where's that bird? Supposed to be 3 kinds of shrubs here. The invasive burning bush that looks pretty good. This thing, I don't know what it is, but I like the flowers. And a forsythia. Everything else is invasive. I think this might be called swallowwort. Obviously, I've let it go way too long. You could probably fill up the back of a truck with all this invasive stuff. Even these beautiful glories, those are invasive. Sorry, bro. A weed is a flower growing where you don't want it to grow. Bye-bye. Hard to tell the difference though, isn't it? Forsythia, invasive, pretty thing I don't know the name of. More forsythia. This just goes on for miles and miles. That's new growth. That is old, really old growth. Like before I moved here. Doesn't really fit in the bucket either. think I'm going where no one has gone in decades, deep into here. Look how fat that trunk is. This thing's been hiding in there for decades. Choke cherry. Should burn good. In order to make things grow, you gotta cut them back once in a while. Grow better, that is. Invariably, you find stuff and you say, what is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? These those black walnuts I see growing in the front yard? Oh yeah, much better. All set for another year there. That'll fill in nicely next year. I hear a cardinal. I see a catbird. Catbird likes the newly pruned. And there's a sparrow sound. They're all talking to you, Steve. Yep, boring, isn't it? That should be good for today. That almost looks like a snow sky, don't you think? Those are ice crystals way up there. It's kind of a colder warm front this week. Thursday warm front. What's that remind you of? Every day last winter. Okay, one more thing. T-Rex, get that ball. Oh, nice catch. And you want to see something interesting? Look at my knee. You can't see anything, right? And then I'll go like this. I got stung by a bee. I think those are my white blood cells trying to respond. Try that one more time. Can't see anything. It looks better in person. It's pretty interesting though, isn't it? I don't know, it's actually a yellow jacket sting of the year. Had to take advantage of super low tide. Leave that bunny alone. Along the low water mark. Stuff you don't often see that often. How do you like my muscles? All right. No eating the rabbits.